Welcome back to Positive News. Each week we try to bring you pet news that you can use, and along the way a little positivity surrounding some cat and dog news stories. So this week has kind of gone to the dogs, but don't worry cat owners, you will enjoy this first story, and I promise we will have more cat content next week. So you may be surprised to know that greyhound racing could be coming to an end in the US. Or if you're like me, you're surprised that it still exists. Like 8-track tapes, I thought it was just a fad that found popularity during the 80s when Miami Vice had clips of the breed running around a track in their show's opening montage. But according to a recent article from National Geographic, it's during that time when the sport reached its biggest popularity. However, greyhound racing's popularity has waned in recent years, leaving tracks that used to seat thousands now just housing hundreds. There are a number of reasons for this, of course, most of which has been the exposed dog cruelty that has taken place over the years. These horrific stories led to 41 states outright banning the sport. 2 years ago, voters in Florida approved a constitutional amendment banning greyhound racing. This is significant considering that Florida, at one time, had 11 of the 17 greyhound racing tracks in the US. Now, they're down to 3, and those will close at the end of 2020. The other states that currently have greyhound racing are Iowa, Arkansas, and West Virginia. However, Iowa and Arkansas tracks will close down by the year 2022. That just leaves West Virginia, and if voters in Florida are any indication of the future of greyhound racing, hopefully West Virginia will be forced to close the last 2 tracks in the country. All right, to our next story. As we've reported in previous weeks, COVID-19 and the pandemic has had a profound effect on so many pets and their owners. We've highlighted how during the pandemic, millennials have spent more on their pets than any other generation, or how during this pandemic, people are spending more time with their pets, increasing the overall well-being of both. And just recently, how veterinary clinics are busier than ever, at times having to turn away new patients. And it makes sense. People are home more than before, and because of that, many have chosen this time to adopt a new pet. So we here at Positive News thought it would be beneficial for all new dog owners to know exactly what resources were available to them when it comes to training and behavior. So I sat down virtually with Preventive Vet's resident certified dog trainer and canine behavior consultant, Cathy Madson. And I asked her, what are the tips that can get your pup off onto the right paw?
So obviously that includes connecting with a veterinarian to make sure that your puppy is on track for vaccinations and that they're good to go there and that they're growing healthy. Also, just as important as connecting with a vet would be connecting with a training and behavior professional, really focusing on how they can support you in socializing your new puppy. And that goes both for veterinarians and for a trainer. Socialization is so important to prevent future behavior problems. So unfortunately, a lot of times we think of socialization as just meeting new people and other dogs, right? So, okay, they play with other dogs in puppy class and they meet people on their walks. But really, meeting people and other dogs is just a small fraction of socialization. In fact, at Preventive Vet, we actually like to call it proactive exposure training because it's so much more than just socializing. So in fact, in my Puppy Essentials workshop, Socialization Foundations, which is available online, we talk about all these other things that you can do with your puppy to socialize them and get them ready for the big wide world.
And finally this week, I don't think it's a stretch to believe that people are interested in knowing exactly how their dogs recognize them. Sure, it's a combination of senses, but a new study says that smell is the purest way that a dog knows they've found their owner. An article in the International Journal of Comparative Psychology makes a crystal clear statement that a person's scent is recognized as the primary source of information. Considering a dog has up to 300 million olfactory receptors in their nose, this shouldn't be too surprising. These receptors are responsible for helping dogs recognize other species, familiar dogs, dangerous situations, as well as their own toys. The study acknowledges that other senses also play a part. Now, as far as the study, the primary factor in which researchers used smell was a piece of clothing from the owners, but without the owner being present. Because there's the opportunity for a dog to recognize their owner through sight and sound, researchers wanted to eliminate those 2 other senses in this particular stage. What they found was when the dogs were encouraged to seek out what was familiar to them, dogs sniffed out the box with their owner's smell more often than clothing from a stranger. Now, it's important to know that the study was very extensive and is not as simplistic as I may have broken it down just now, but the information is quite incredible, really. The study will be included on the link following this segment. Well, that wraps up another week of Positive News. Thank you so much for joining us. If you'd like more information on any of the stories you've just heard or additional resources, as always, go to PreventiveVet.com. And if you like this channel, please subscribe, all right? Thanks again for joining us, and until next week, stay positive.